The cost of over-tooling. What happens when a tool arrives at the wrong moment, and why restraint is itself a move. Picture this. You're 40 minutes into a session that's going beautifully. The client is right on the edge of something real. And you, wanting to help, slide a worksheet across the table. The energy drops. The moment's gone. You did everything right. You have a great tool. You care about this client. And you just got in the way. That's what we're looking at in this video. When we overtool, 3 things happen to the client. First, emergent insight gets organized into a grid before it fully surfaces. The grid looks helpful, it is helpful, but the client had something forming that needed more space before structure arrived. Second, the locus of work shifts. The energy that was in the client's exploration moves to the tool's logic. Suddenly you're filling out boxes, not doing the real work. Third, and this one is subtle, it signals. Clients read their coaches. When you reach for a tool in a charged moment, they often register that you couldn't stay with what they were in. It doesn't have to be conscious on their end, but it changes the relationship in the room. So, what is that reach actually serving? When you reach for a tool to relieve silence, or because the session feels uncertain and you want to do something, or because you want the client to see that this is worth their time and money, that reach is serving your need, not theirs. I want to name that without judgment, because it comes from genuinely good intentions. Every experienced coach has felt that pull. The question isn't whether you feel it, it's whether you can catch it before your hand moves. Imagine you're coaching someone who says, haltingly, "I think I've been afraid of this for years." That sentence is the work. Right there. The client has just named something they may never have named out loud before. If you reach for a fear assessment worksheet at that moment, you've just told them, without meaning to, that their raw moment needs to be organized into a grid. Sometimes the most skilled thing your hand can do is stay still. One question. Silence. Full attention. Let them stay in what just broke open for them. Pause. Bring to mind a session where you introduced a tool and the energy dropped. It doesn't have to be a dramatic example. Don't judge it. Just notice what you were feeling in the second before you reached. Was it uncertainty, the urge to be useful, discomfort with where the client was? That feeling is worth knowing. It'll show up again. And when it does, you'll have a better chance of catching it. Okay, now let's look at the other side. Before we go further, I want to name something clearly. Under-tooling has a cost too. A coach who never reaches for a tool as a point of pride, who believes pure conversation is always enough, and the client circles the same insight for 6 sessions without traction. That's a real cost. The client deserved more structure at some point. The skill isn't avoiding tools. It's reading which kind of moment you're in. One that calls for structure, or one where structure would get in the way. That reading is what Module 2 is built around. What I want you to carry from this video is that restraint is a move. Hold presence, the 5th framework move, is a deliberate choice, not an absence of a plan. ICF's Competency 5 maintains presence, captures this. Being fully present sometimes means the absence of intervention. That takes more skill than reaching, not less. If over-tooling and under-tooling both cost the client, then the question is how to tell the difference in the moment. That starts with staying with what's actually alive in the room.